Hey all, Joe here to talk about the top 5 fighters who climbed the tier list the most since the release of the video game Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. Now more often than not, these guys have gotten big buffs, but sometimes they just got better players picking them up, and they grew up a few tiers from that. As well, you gotta remember that I'm using Reddit tier lists and other ones like that, so they may not near what you thought was high or low tier always. With all that said though, let's get this started. So to start off this list, we have Falco, and Falco was surprisingly placed pretty low on many early tier lists. Now I presume this was kinda because he was, slow, and he didn't have that much results on the 3DS, and Fox just played a lot more and seemed quite a bit better. But the thing is, Falco has always been pretty good. I mean, he's maybe not the best, but he's still quite strong, and he's always been quite strong. And really this showed up later on in his tier placings. He got little buffs from time to time on his kit, but mainly what made him start to climb even more and more was just better players picking him up over a long period of time. Eventually he ended up near B tier, which I feel like is a pretty good spot for Falco, and he did climb quite a bit. Now, of course, Wii Fit Trainer to me is a very obvious choice for this list. For a long time, people didn't really think much of this fighter, and they kind of threw her to the wayside, saying that she wasn't all that good. Now, there were some really big reasons for this, and the biggest one was that her hitboxes couldn't even hit smaller fighters, giving her very hard matchups for the most part. Luckily for Wii Fit, though, a few months into the cycle of the Wii U, she got some really nice appreciated buffs, which allowed her to hit all size people, including the small ones. This helped her in my eyes more than any other buff that she has received, and this, mixed with more people picking her up, led to her going from nearly the very bottom of the tier list to around the middle. Next, Meta Knight is a very strange case, as he is one that at the start people thought to be quite low tier. I even had a friend that picked him up because he was a low tier hero, but then out of nowhere he shot all the way up the tier list to like top 15 at least. This really didn't make any sense. Now of course this mainly came from just his huge results from people like Leo, but also from his very nice buffs that he received earlier on. Now when he received the buffs for the first few months, nobody really got any results, but a few months later just people picked him up and he started to win. It was really weird. Now it is of course very different to think back to when this guy wasn't really a high tier, but it's really cool to see how far he's come from people thinking he was close to one of the worst to now one of the best. I remember DkWill in the boot for quite a while, being placed all the way at the bottom of the tier list, at least for a short time. Now, I never really agreed with this. I always said he was at least top 25 or something around there, but whatever. Now, for one reason or another, this guy was placed all the way down there, but a few months after the game's release, he slowly started to climb the list by himself. He got some help from people like DkWill and Average Joe, which really advanced his metagame, but then finally, after much later time, he received the Ding Dong. And this thing is what really made him explode up the tier list for quite a while. People started to put him as top 15, top 10, there was a ton of excitement. Over time though, people felt his more reasonable place was probably to put him near high B tier. I gotta agree with that. Still, he's a really great character and he's come a long way. Finally, we are at Mewtwo. Now this guy's been through a very quick but bumpy road. At release, everyone was calling him OP, but a few weeks later, he got the quick entrance to bottom 3. He sat there for a while until a few small buffs, and then he moved up a little bit. A little later on, we got some really big Mewtwo players coming out like Mew2, and a lot of other people, which advanced his metagame quite a bit. After a while, he also got a few more medium buffs, making him climb a bit more, and then finally we got him in the last patch 1.1.5, he just got his strongest buffs yet. These things, along with a ton of other great Mewtwo players like Abadango moving to him, pushed him over the edge, and now he's at least a low high tier, moving up very fast. Quite a few top players have said how good he is now, and I only feel him climbing the list to higher points for the near future. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Tell me if you liked the video in the comment section below, and if you would like a top 5 characters who fell down the tier list, or whatever name you want to call that. Thanks for your time, and I'll be seeing you all next time.